The night my husband walked out, I thought my life was falling apart. I had no idea it was actually about to begin. Rain pounded against the windows like 1,000 angry fists. Adam stood in our bedroom, throwing clothes into his suitcase. Not folding them, just throwing them in like they meant nothing. That's how I knew this was real. Adam folded everything. He ironed his gym shorts. He organized his sock drawer by color. But that night, he stuffed jeans and t-shirts into his bag like he couldn't escape fast enough. "The divorce papers will come next week," he said without looking at me. "Okay," I whispered. 8 years of marriage. Gone with one word. My name is Hannah Cole. I'm 34 years old. I live outside Nashville in a house with a yellow porch that desperately needs painting. That stormy night, I thought divorce was the worst thing that could happen to me. I was so wrong. I didn't sleep that night. How could I? The bed felt enormous and empty, like I was floating alone in the middle of a dark ocean. Around 5 a.m., I gave up and went to the kitchen. Made coffee. Burned toast. Stared at the wall like it held answers. The house felt wrong. Too quiet. No coffee machine hissing because Adam always beat me to it. No TV blaring sports highlights. No heavy footsteps from a man who walked like he owned every floor. Just silence. And the constant drip 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 of the kitchen faucet I kept forgetting to fix. I moved through the rooms like a ghost, picking up pieces of our old life. A sock under the couch, one of his running socks with the ridiculous neon stripes. A photo from our first anniversary. Both of us sunburned and grinning at a beach we couldn't really afford. The guitar-shaped magnet from our Memphis honeymoon, the one Adam called our thing. He didn't take it. He took the expensive cast iron skillet his mother gave us. He took his Xbox and every single game. He took the good coffee maker that I'd saved up 3 months to buy him for Christmas. But he left the guitar magnet. That hurt more than anything else. I stood there, holding that stupid magnet when my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost let it ring. I wasn't in the mood for spam calls about extended car warranties or vacation timeshares. But some tiny stubborn part of me that wasn't completely numb yet made me answer. "Hello? Is this Hannah?" "Hannah Cole." A woman's voice, breathless and shaking. "Yes, this is Detective Michelle Alvarez with Metro Police. I need you to stay calm, okay? There's been a serious accident." The magnet slipped from my fingers and shattered on the tile floor. Accident. My first thought was Adam. He'd driven away in that terrible storm. Maybe he'd hydroplaned. Maybe his car had slid off the wet road into a ditch somewhere. I pictured his suitcase flying open, all those unfolded clothes scattered across the dark highway. My heart started pounding, even though part of me wondered why I still cared. "Your sister Rachel is in surgery right now," Detective Alvarez continued. "There was a major car accident last night around 9 p.m. She's alive, but her condition is critical." Rachel, not Adam. Rachel. My younger sister who I hadn't spoken to in almost 4 years. My sister who'd moved to Atlanta chasing dreams I never understood. My sister who posted Instagram stories from music festivals but never called on holidays. "That Rachel, what hospital?" My voice came out thin and strange. "Vanderbilt Medical Center." "How quickly can you get here?" 20 minutes, I said, already grabbing my keys with shaking hands. I ran 3 red lights getting to that hospital. The emergency room was pure chaos. Ambulances arriving constantly. People in scrubs running in different directions. That awful antiseptic smell trying to mask something worse underneath. My hands shook so badly I could barely hold the pen to sign the visitor form. The receptionist had to read my name off my driver's license, because my handwriting looked like a 3-year-old scribble. Detective Alvarez met me near the nurse's station. She was in her 40s with tired eyes and dark circles that spoke of too many late nights. A coffee stain marked her white blouse near the collar. Somehow that stain made me trust her more. Perfect people make me nervous. People with coffee stains are usually honest. "Hannah?" she asked gently. "Yes, where's Rachel?" "Is she?" My voice cracked before I could finish. "She's alive," Alvarez said quickly. And relief nearly knocked me over. "She's in surgery right now. Severe head trauma, broken ribs, punctured lung, internal bleeding." A semi-truck lost control on the wet highway and clipped her car. She spun into a guardrail at high speed. I pressed my hand over my mouth, fighting nausea. "But she's young and strong," Alvarez continued. "The paramedics reached her quickly. The doctors say she has a fighting chance." "Thank you," I whispered, though thanking someone for delivering this news felt absurd. Alvarez shifted uncomfortably. "Hannah, there's something else. Someone you need to meet before you see your sister. Someone. Not something. Not paperwork or medical forms. Someone. Dread settled in my stomach like a stone. She led me down the hallway, past her bays where I heard moaning and crying and urgent medical voices. We turned toward the pediatric ward, and that's when I saw her. A little girl sitting on a plastic chair far too big for her tiny frame. She swung her feet nervously, clutching a stuffed orange fox to her chest like it was her only anchor in a storm. Dark curly hair that needed brushing. Big brown eyes that looked far too old for her small face. Freckles scattered across her nose like cinnamon. Her sparkly shoes were the cheap kind from discount stores, glitter already peeling off. Her jeans had a genuine tear at the knee, not the fashion kind, but the kind from actually falling down. She looked about 6 years old when we approached. Those brown eyes locked onto mine with a heartbreaking mixture of hope and terror. Like she desperately wanted to trust me but was afraid to try it. Hannah, Detective Alvarez said quietly. This is Mia. The girl slid off the chair and stood up, squishing the fox so tightly its fabric face bunched up. Are you Aunt Hannah? She whispered. Aunt. That single word hit me like a physical blow to the chest. I don't understand. I managed to say, my voice barely working. Alvarez touched my elbow gently. Rachel listed you as her emergency contact. In her vehicle, we found a booster seat, pediatric prescriptions, and school papers with this child's name. When paramedics brought Rachel in before she lost consciousness, she kept repeating the same thing over and over. Call Hannah. Tell her Mia is hers now. My brain couldn't process the words. It felt like listening to someone speak underwater while my head was spinning. Mia is what? The little girl took one small, brave step forward. Her voice was barely audible. Mommy showed me a picture of you once. You have brown hair and you smile with your whole face, she said. She told me you live in the house with the yellow porch. She said, her voice got even smaller. She said if anything really bad ever happened, you would take care of me. She promised me that. My legs felt like they might give out completely. I reached for the wall to steady myself, my mind reeling. Rachel and I hadn't spoken in almost 4 years. We were sisters biologically, but life had split us into completely different universes. I was the boring responsible one, the one with a stable job at an insurance office, a mortgage, a 401k, a husband who loved spreadsheets more than romance. Rachel was our family's wild card, the firecracker, always chasing some new dream, some new boyfriend, some new city that would finally make everything perfect. Last I heard through mutual acquaintances, she was waitressing in Atlanta and dating a bass player in a band nobody had heard of. I didn't even know she'd moved back to Tennessee. I absolutely did not know she had a daughter. My sister has a child. I heard myself ask, like I was a different person standing outside my body watching this real conversation unfold. Detective Alvarez nodded slowly. According to hospital records and the documentation in her vehicle, yes, Mia is 6 years old. Rachel is listed as the sole parent on all forms. There's no father's name on the birth certificate, no other family listed anywhere except you. I looked at the little girl again. Really, truly looked at her this time. She had Rachel's exact eyes. Same precise shade of brown with tiny gold flecks catching the fluorescent light. She also had our mother's stubborn chin. I'd recognize that determined jawline anywhere I saw it in the mirror every morning. I didn't know. I whispered, more to myself than anyone. She never told me. Not once in 6 years. Not a single word. Mia's lower lip started trembling. Her eyes filled with tears that she was clearly fighting hard not to let fall. Mommy said she was planning to tell you. She said she was really scared you'd be mad at her for keeping secrets. But she talked about you all the time. Her voice broke into pieces. She said you were the smartest, strongest person she knew. She said you always fixed everything, no matter how broken it was. Then she asked the question I'd been dreading since the moment I arrived. Is Mommy going to die? I did the only thing that made sense in that impossible moment. I dropped to my knees right there on the cold hospital floor and opened my arms wide. She flew into them like she'd been waiting her entire life for that exact hug. I don't know. Sweetheart, I said, my voice shaking as I held this stranger child who somehow felt familiar. I honestly don't know what's going to happen. But I can promise you this with my whole heart, you are not alone. You hear me? Not for one single second. She nodded against my shoulder, her small body trembling. I could feel her hot tears soaking through my shirt. That was the precise moment everything truly changed, not when Adam packed his bags and walked out. Not when the detective called with news of the accident. Not even when I learned my sister had been hiding an entire human being from me for 6 years. My real life, the one that actually mattered, started. The moment a terrified 6-year-old girl wrapped her arms around my neck and silently begged me to be her family. They let us stay in a small family room near the ICU. It had a worn-out couch that sagged in the middle, a cot that looked like it dated back to the Reagan administration, and a TV that barely worked and only got 3 fuzzy channels. Rachel was still in surgery. Nobody could tell us how long it would last. Hours, they said. Maybe many hours. They had to relieve dangerous pressure on her brain, repair catastrophic internal damage, essentially put her body back together piece by careful piece. Mia refused to sleep on the cot. She curled up beside me on the narrow couch, her stuffed fox Mr. Fox. She called him with great seriousness wedged carefully between us like a tiny furry referee. I tried asking her simple questions. Where did she go to school? What was her favorite food? Normal aunt things, even though I had absolutely no idea how to actually be an aunt. But exhaustion was winning. Her answers got shorter and shorter until she finally just closed her eyes. I thought she'd fallen asleep when she suddenly whispered into the darkness, "Aunt Hannah? Do all grown-ups lie?" The question punched all the air out of my lungs. What do you mean, sweetheart? Mommy told me we were just driving to Nashville to get ice cream from that special place she really liked when she was little. She said we'd get ice cream and then drive right back home to Atlanta before bedtime. But we didn't do that. We drove for a really, really long time. It got dark outside and Mommy kept crying a little bit, wiping her eyes when she thought I wasn't looking. She kept saying the same thing over and over, "It'll be okay, baby. Hannah will fix it." Hannah always fixes everything. Mia twisted Mr. Fox's tail anxiously in her small fingers. But you didn't even know about me at all. So if you didn't know about me, how could you fix anything? Was she lying to me? I thought about all the times growing up when Rachel had dragged me into her chaotic messes. The panicked late-night phone calls from parties where she desperately needed a ride home. The credit cards she'd maxed out and then begged me to help pay off, crying and promising she'd never do it again. The boyfriends with mean eyes and cruel words, who I'd helped her escape from in the middle of the night. I had always been the fixer, the responsible older sister, the human mop constantly cleaning up behind Rachel's wild, unpredictable life. I used to resent it so much it made me angry. Now I just felt tired and sad and angry and scared all crashing together at once. "I don't think your mom was lying," I said slowly, choosing every single word with extreme care. "I think she was really, really scared. And when people are scared, truly terrified, sometimes they say things they desperately wish were true, even if they aren't true yet. Like making a wish on a shooting star, like wishing on a star?" Mia asked, her voice so small in the dark room. "Yeah," I whispered. "Exactly like that." She was quiet for a long, heavy moment. Then, "Do you really fix everything like Mommy said?" I closed my eyes against sudden tears. Thought about my failed marriage, my lonely, empty house, my sister who'd completely shut me out of her life for 4 years. All the desperately important things I definitely hadn't fixed. "No," I said with complete honesty. "I don't fix everything. Nobody in the whole world can fix everything, no matter how hard they try. But I promise I try really, really hard to fix the truly important things. The things that matter most." She nodded like she'd just made a very serious, life-changing decision. "Okay then, can you please try to fix Mommy?" My throat got so tight I could barely force words out. "I'm going to do absolutely everything I possibly can. That's a promise I'll keep." That answer seemed to satisfy her worried mind. She pressed her face against my shoulder and finally fell asleep. I stayed awake all night, listening to her breathe, wondering what on earth I'd just gotten myself into, and whether I was remotely capable of handling it. The next morning, a surgeon with kind eyes and utterly exhausted shoulders came to speak with us. His scrubs had blood on them, Rachel's blood. I realized with a sickening jolt, but his expression was cautiously optimistic despite everything. "The surgery went as well as we possibly could have hoped under the circumstances," he said carefully. "We were able to stop the internal bleeding, relieve the dangerous pressure on her brain, and repair the significant damage to her lung. She's stable now, which is the most important thing." Overwhelming relief flooded through every part of me. "So she's going to be okay? She'll recover?" His expression shifted to something more guarded and professional. "She's alive, which is absolutely the most critical thing. But there was very significant trauma to her brain. We've induced a medical coma to give her injured brain proper time to heal without stress. We won't know the full extent of any permanent damage until we attempt to wake her up. Could be days, could be weeks. We'll monitor her constantly, but she will wake up eventually?" I pressed, needing a definite answer. "We sincerely hope so," he said with careful precision. "We're doing absolutely everything medically possible. But I can't make you any guarantees I can't keep. The next 48 hours are absolutely critical. We'll know much more then." Mia was holding my hand so tightly it actually hurt. "Can I please see her?" The surgeon looked at me for permission. I nodded, unable to speak. "For just a few minutes," he said gently to Mia. "But I need you to know she won't look like your mommy right now. There are many tubes and machines helping her. It might be scary to see." "I'm not scared," Mia said with forced bravery. Then, more quietly and honestly, "I mean, I am scared. But I really want to see her anyway." We walked slowly to the ICU, through the large window. I could see my little sister, Rachel, lay in the bed looking impossibly small and broken and pale. Tubes everywhere down her throat, in both arms, taped carefully to her bruised face. Machines hummed and beeped constantly around her in a rhythm that didn't feel anything like real life. Her beautiful hair, which had always been her pride and joy, was matted and streaked with dried blood that someone had tried to clean. A stark white bandage wrapped around her entire head. I pressed my hand against the cold glass, tears streaming down my face before I could even try to stop them. Hey, Ratch, I whispered to my unconscious sister. You really outdid yourself this time. This is extreme even for you. Mia stood on her tiptoes to see better through the window. She didn't cry like I expected. She just stared at her mother with an incredibly serious, studying expression on her young face. She looks like she's just sleeping, Mia observed finally. Kind of, I managed to say past the lump in my throat. Will she hear me if I talk to her? I honestly don't know, baby. The doctors say maybe. It can't hurt to try. Mia pressed her small hand against the glass right next to mine. Hi mommy, it's me, Mia. Aunt Hannah is taking really good care of me. Exactly like you said she would. She makes okay pancakes. Not as perfect as yours, but pretty okay. Her brave voice wavered and cracked. But you have to wake up really soon though, because I need you to do my hair for school picture day next week. Aunt Hannah doesn't know how to do the fancy braids that make them look like waterfalls. Only you know how. I had to turn away quickly so she wouldn't see me completely falling apart. That same afternoon, a woman from Child Protective Services arrived. Her name was Mrs. Patterson and she carried a thick clipboard, wore a professional smile that didn't quite reach her eyes, and had an expression that missed absolutely nothing. Ms. Cole, I'm very sorry to intrude during this incredibly difficult time, she said in a practiced voice. But we absolutely must discuss living arrangements for Mia while your sister remains incapacitated. We sat in a small, sterile conference room. Mia was back in the family room watching cartoons, or at least pretending to watch them, while a nurse's aide kept a careful eye on her. Mrs. Patterson pulled out a thick stack of official forms. I need to ask you quite a few questions. Do you have a suitable home environment for a child? A spare bedroom that would be hers? Yes, I have a 3-bedroom house, stable employment and income. I work full-time at Davidson Insurance Company. I've been there for 9 years. I make decent money, she made a note. Marital status? The question felt like swallowing broken glass. Not married anymore. As of yesterday, actually. My husband left me. The divorce papers are supposedly coming next week. Double quotes. Mrs. Patterson's eyebrows rose noticeably, but she kept her voice carefully neutral. I see, interesting timing. Any history of mental illness, substance abuse, or criminal activity I should know about? No, and absolutely not. Any previous experience with children? Babysitting? Parenting courses? I almost laughed at the absurdity. Honestly, none whatsoever. Rachel is 6 years younger than me. She's my only sibling. I don't have kids of my own. I've barely even babysat. I'm completely making this up as I go. To my genuine surprise, Mrs. Patterson smiled. A real, authentic smile. At least you're being honest with me. You'd be absolutely amazed how many people sit in that exact chair and try to convince me. They're practically Mary Poppins. She made several notes on her forms. Given the emergency circumstances, the critical nature of the situation, your direct family relationship, and Rachel's clearly documented wishes, we can grant you emergency temporary custody of Mia. There will be required home visits to ensure Mia's safety and well-being. There will be regular follow-ups and check-ins. But for right now, if both you and Mia consent, she can legally go home with you today. What if? I hesitated, fear creeping in. What if I'm terrible at this? What if I mess everything up and damage her worse? Mrs. Patterson put down her pen and looked directly into my eyes. Ms. Cole, nobody is naturally good at sudden emergency parenting. Nobody. The fact that you're genuinely worried about messing up tells me you probably won't. The ones who walk in here thinking they've got it all perfectly figured out? Those are the ones I seriously worry about. Taking Mia home for the first time felt completely surreal. My house, which had felt so painfully empty and quiet after Adam abandoned me, suddenly came alive. Little sparkly shoes appeared in the entryway. A tiny toothbrush showed up next to mine by the bathroom sink. A stuffed fox took up permanent residence on my pillow. I quickly made up the guest bedroom for her, the room that was supposed to be for the baby Adam, and I never quite got around to having. I found sheets with stars on them at Target, bought a lamp shaped like a crescent moon, and hung up cheap fairy lights I discovered in the clearance section when I showed Mia her new room. She stood frozen in the doorway for a long moment, just staring with wide eyes. Is this room really mine? She finally asked in disbelief. All yours, sweetheart. For as long as you need it, which I hope is a very long time. She walked in slowly and carefully, like she was afraid the room might vanish if she moved too fast or made too much noise. She touched everything gently, the dresser, the soft curtains, the fluffy blankets like they were precious treasures. I've never had my own room before, she whispered. My heart cracked. Never, not ever. She shook her head. At our old apartment in Atlanta, I slept on the couch. Mommy said we'd get a 2-bedroom apartment someday when she saved up enough money. But rent was too expensive. Sometimes I got to sleep in Mommy's bed if she was really sad or if there were scary loud noises outside that frightened me. I thought about my house. 3 bedrooms, 2 full bathrooms, a backyard I never used. All this wasted space that had felt so empty and meaningless. Well, I said, my voice a little rough with emotion, now you have your own room, your own bed, your own special place to keep all your stuff safe. I don't really have a lot of stuff, she said matter-of-factly. Just Mr. Fox and my school backpack and some clothes. Mommy said we had to pack really light because we moved around a lot and couldn't carry much. 1,000 questions piled up in my head like a traffic jam, but I pushed them all aside. First things first, we'll get you more stuff, I promised. Tomorrow we can go shopping together. Get you some toys, some books, art supplies, whatever makes you happy. Her eyes went completely wide with shock. Really, we can really do that? Absolutely really. That first night, I made spaghetti, the only meal I could reliably cook without burning something beyond recognition. We ate at the kitchen table, which felt strange because Adam and I had always eaten on the couch while watching TV. Mia ate slowly, carefully, like she was trying to make each bite last as long as possible. You can have more if you're still hungry, I said gently. There's plenty, are you completely sure? I'm positive. Eat as much as you want. She had 2 more full helpings, eating every single bite. After dinner, we sat together on the couch. I had absolutely no idea what to do next. Did 6-year-olds watch TV at night? Read books? Play board games? I was flying completely blind with no instruction manual. What do you usually do at night with your mom? I asked. She shrugged. Sometimes Mommy reads stories to me. Sometimes we watch TV together. Sometimes Mommy's too tired from working double shifts, and I just play quietly with Mr. Fox in my corner so I don't bother her. Do you want to watch something now? She nodded shyly. We ended up watching some animated movie about talking animals on an adventure that I didn't follow at all. But Mia laughed genuinely at the funny parts, and hearing that laugh was enough. Around 8 o'clock, she started yawning repeatedly. Ready for bed? I suggested. Okay, she said quietly. Then, hesitantly, can I maybe leave the hallway light on? Just for tonight? Just for tonight. Like she was already desperately trying not to be a burden to anyone. You can leave it on every single night if that makes you feel safer, I said firmly, and she twisted her hands together nervously. Could you maybe possibly stay in my room until I fall completely asleep? Just for tonight? I can stay as long as you want me to. Tonight and every night. I carefully tucked her into the bed with the star-patterned sheets. She arranged Mr. Fox precisely next to her pillow with great seriousness. I sat on the edge of the bed, feeling completely out of my depth and terrified of doing something wrong. Aunt Hannah? She whispered in the darkness. Yeah, sweetie? Thank you so much for letting me stay in your house. You don't ever have to thank me for that. Mommy always says we should say thank you when people are nice to us, even when we're scared. I swallowed past the painful lump in my throat. Your mom is absolutely right about that. But you're family now. You don't have to thank family for taking care of you. It's just what we do automatically. She was quiet for a minute. Then, will Mommy wake up tomorrow? I desperately wanted to lie. I wanted to promise her yes, absolutely. Your mom will be perfectly fine and this nightmare will be over soon. But children deserve honesty. I really don't know, I said softly. The doctors are doing absolutely everything they possibly can. We just have to wait and hope and pray. I'm really good at hoping, Mia said sleepily. Mommy and me hope for stuff all the time together. What kind of things do you hope for? Like hoping the electricity doesn't get shut off again. And hoping Mommy gets enough good tips at the restaurant to buy groceries. And hoping that the mean man doesn't somehow find us. My blood went completely cold. What mean man, Mia? But she was already asleep, her breathing deep and peaceful. I sat there in that dark room for a very long time, watching her sleep, wondering what my sister had been running from and why she'd never asked me for help. The first morning, I woke up in sudden panic because I didn't remember falling asleep. Then panic doubled because I couldn't immediately remember where Mia was. I found her sitting quietly at the kitchen table, staring at Mr. Fox with a sad expression. Hey there, I said, trying hard to sound normal even though my heart was still racing. How long have you been awake? A pretty long while, she said quietly. I didn't want to wake you up though. You looked really tired and mommy says tired people get really grumpy. 6 years old and already constantly worrying about everyone else before herself. It broke my heart. I'm making us breakfast, I announced. Trying to project confidence I definitely didn't feel. Do you like cereal? Her whole face suddenly lit up. Yes, I love cereal. I felt like I'd just won an Olympic gold medal. I'd gone to the grocery store late the night before after Mia fell asleep, leaving her with my neighbor Mrs. Chen, who I barely knew but who promised to listen carefully for any crying. I'd wandered those bright aisles in a complete daze, throwing random things into the cart: rainbow cereal, chocolate milk, those tiny yogurts with cartoon characters printed on them, chicken nuggets, boxed mac and cheese, basically everything I thought a kid would like. Now I pulled out the rainbow cereal with a dramatic flourish. Ta-da! Mia stared at the colorful box. Then her little face completely crumpled. Oh no, what's wrong, sweetie? I asked, instant panic rising. Do you not like this kind? I can go get different cereal right now. No, she whispered, and I saw tears pooling in her eyes. I really love this kind so much, but what, sweetheart? Tell me, mommy has a rule that rainbow cereal is only allowed on really special days, like birthdays or Christmas, or when she gets an extra good tip from a nice table at work. If we eat the rainbow cereal on regular normal days, then the good stuff runs out way too fast and we just have boring plain cereal forever. And mommy says plain cereal tastes exactly like sadness. My heart shattered into about a million pieces right there. Is today a special day? She asked, her voice so desperately small and hopeful it hurt. I thought about everything. Hospitals and comas and custody paperwork and divorce papers. About a terrified little girl sleeping in a strange house with a strange aunt she'd never met before yesterday. You know what, Mia? I said firmly. I think today is incredibly special, really. Why? Because you're here with me. Because we both woke up this morning alive and together. Because the sun is shining outside. Because we found each other. I knelt down to her eye level. And I genuinely think every single day you wake up is automatically special. Even when it doesn't feel that way at all. She looked at the cereal box again, then back at me with wonder in her eyes. Can we maybe pretend it's my birthday? We can do even better than pretend, I said. We can make today your unbirthday. Do you know what an unbirthday is? She shook her head. No, it's from Alice in Wonderland. An unbirthday means all the days that aren't your actual birthday. And since there are 364 unbirthdays in every single year, we have lots and lots of reasons to celebrate whenever we want. A tiny smile appeared on her face. Really and truly? Really and truly. So happy unbirthday, Mia. Let's eat rainbow cereal and celebrate being together. She smiled for real this time, a genuine, beautiful smile, and took a big bite. When she got a mouthful of the colored loops, she looked at me with pure, absolute joy. This is the best breakfast in the whole world, she declared. I decided right then that I would buy her rainbow cereal every single week for the rest of her life if it made her smile like that. The next several weeks were an intense crash course in surprise emergency parenting that nobody could have prepared me for. I learned that schools require an absolutely absurd amount of paperwork for new students. I spent 3 long hours on hold with Mia's old school in Atlanta, trying to get her academic records transferred. Then I spent 2 more frustrating hours with her new school here, explaining the complicated situation. So let me understand correctly, the school secretary said slowly, like she was trying to solve an impossible puzzle. You're her aunt, but you've never actually met her before this week, and her mother is in a coma. And you have emergency custody papers? That's exactly right, I confirmed. This is highly unusual, yeah. Believe me, I know. They eventually let Mia start school while we sorted things out properly, which I assumed meant while they ran extensive background checks to make sure I wasn't some kind of dangerous child stealing lunatic. I learned that 6-year-olds have approximately 8 million questions every single day. Why is the sky blue instead of purple? Why can birds fly but chickens can't? How did Mr. Fox lose his left eye? I hadn't even noticed Mr. Fox was missing an eye until she pointed it out. Why did your husband leave you? That last question stopped me completely cold. We were in the car, heading to the hospital for our daily visit to see Rachel. What? I managed to choke out. Mrs. Chen told me she saw a man leaving your house with big suitcases. Mia said matter-of-factly, like she was discussing the weather. She said it looked like he was moving out permanently. Was that your husband? Nosy Mrs. Chen and her big mouth. Yes, I said carefully, gripping the steering wheel tighter. That was Adam. He was my husband. Was? So you're not married to him anymore? We're getting divorced. It means we decided not to be married to each other anymore. Oh, Mia was quiet for a minute. Then, did he leave because of me? Because you had to take care of me now? I almost drove straight off the road. What? No. Absolutely not. He left. Thank you for listening to ours. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click on one of the other stories that's popping up on your screen right now. I promise, if you enjoyed this one, you're going to love those too. I'll see you in the next story.